Thank you very much, Craig. President Obama gave a State of the Union speech last night, which, by the way, the New York Times described as defiant. But Republicans appeared to be just as strong in their response to the president. How do you get through that gridlock that so many people feel is going on in Washington? Congressman Jim Cooper, a Democrat, joins us from Washington, D.C. this morning with an idea. And I see you're wearing a lapel pin. Tell us what that's about, because that's kind of what we're talking about here.
It's a group called No Labels, and they're really not Democrats or Republicans. They're putting America first, and that's what's most important, is for us to focus on what's good for this country, good for everyday working Americans. If we did that more and bickered less in Washington, this country would be in much better shape.
Well, you know, I no doubt a lot of people would agree with that, but how do you accomplish that, and who else is on board in your group?
Well, there are about 70 of us in the House of Representatives, so that's a great start. But there are more and more people who are being pushed by voters back home to try to do the right thing for the country, because voters are sick and tired of the bickering in Washington. They want solutions to the problems. They're tired of waiting. And America is getting back on track. We've had several lean years after the recession. There have been a lot of issues, but we're getting better. In fact, America's had the best recovery of any nation on earth. So we have a lot to be proud of. We just need to keep progress in the right direction. And so many good things are happening in the Nashville, Middle Tennessee area. We particularly have a lot to be proud of there. And, you know, the president even bragged on Tennessee in his speech last night. I can't remember a State of the Union when a president singled out our state for special praise. In fact, he made a bipartisan effort because he praised the Republican administration in Tennessee for these community college reforms. So that's a good sign and a good start.
Well, okay, then let's address that. How would you solve that? Because Republicans in that case are saying, hey, this isn't going to be paid for except with tax money. And Democrats are calling it a free program, while here in our state it is funded with excess reserves from the lottery. So how do you solve that? Would your group be able to solve that problem?
Well, that's exactly the sort of thing that No Labels should be working on, and Congress as a whole should be working on, because if Republican administration in Tennessee can do it, surely we can do that here in Washington. And here's a Democratic president calling on a Republican Congress to solve this problem. We can do this. There are ways to solve this issue. We've had good Republican senators like Bob Corker call for fixing our roads, our infrastructure, because everybody out there commuting today wants a better way to get to work. And Bob Corker's been willing to step up. Where are the other Republicans? There are sensible voices like that who want to be heard, who want to solve problems, and stop the politicking and the bickering.
Congressman, can you give me one example of a bill that you think you could close the gap between Republicans and the president would meet you halfway? Can you give me one example of what you could accomplish?
Well, I had a bill last year called No Budget, No Pay that stops pay for Congress if we don't do our work on time. That passed into law, bipartisan basis. The president signed it into law. The only problem was it's already expired. We need to make that law permanent. If we passed it last year, we can do it again this year, and that would do more to make sure that we had a good budget here and appropriations bills passed on time than anything else. It works. It's worked in states like California. It can work nationwide, and it did work nationwide last year. The Senate, U.S. Senate, had not passed a budget in 5 years. Finally, when my bill passed, they got their budget passed. So we need to do that again this year, and that makes a lot of sense, because if you don't do your work at home, you don't get paid. Well, why should it be any different here in Washington? No budget, no pay really works. And that was one of the first reforms of this group, No Labels, that I'm a part of. It's bipartisan, it's sensible, it's long overdue.
Yeah, and you're supposed to release a national strategic agenda. Folks can look for that. Congressman, we appreciate you talking with us this morning from Washington.